So for the longest time, I've been one of those people that have been defending Disney Star Wars recently. I've been saying that Star Wars is going in a positive direction. Star Wars is on an uptrend, that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni will be able to actually save Star Wars, or at least give us some good content going forward. And even if they were to continue on with the Skywalker saga, I was even saying that I wouldn't be mad, because I thought that they could actually rescue the Skywalker saga. I thought they could actually save the sequel trilogy, save Kathleen Kennedy's legacy. I really thought they could do all of that. But this first episode of the Book of Boba Fett kind of changed everything for me, and there's also some other Star Wars news, some other developments going on right now that just change everything for me, man. It changes my entire outlook on the future of Star Wars. It changes my entire outlook on Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni and what they're going to do in the future, and it's just not looking good in my opinion. And all of this is from one episode of Book of Boba Fett, as well as, like I said, some other news. Everything is just not looking good for me, and it's coming to a point where I'm trying to decide in my head, is this new Star Wars just not for me? Will I just not be able to ever like this new Star Wars? Because even thinking back to The Mandalorian season 1, I wasn't in love with The Mandalorian the first episode until Baby Yoda showed up, until, we didn't know his name was Grogu yet. But whenever Baby Yoda showed up in that episode, that's when I freaked out, and that's when I kind of fell in love with the first episode, because I thought, hey, we actually got a Force user. We actually got someone who could be related to Yoda. We don't know what this is. We don't know what this species is. This show could really take off from here. But this first episode of Book of Boba Fett was just awful. There's just no way around it for me. The episode was just bad. The episode was just awful in my opinion. There was nothing to look forward to for episode 2. There's nothing to speculate on. There's no spoilers to even spoil if I even wanted to on social media. No one could possibly spoil this episode because there's just nothing that happens in the episode, and it's really making me worried for the future, because we've been waiting a year for this episode. For one, it's a 30-minute episode, just like The Mandalorian, which I absolutely hate because it's only 8 episode seasons. We have to wait a week between each episode, and then we get an episode that's just filler. And this isn't even filler because it's not in the middle. You can't really have a first episode that's filler. First episode that's filler is just a bad episode because it just doesn't get you hyped for any more. But let's check out all the reviews, all the reactions to these Book of Boba Fett stuff. Also, we have this, which we'll talk about maybe a little bit later on in this video. But Star Wars brings back Geode again. A lot of people are really upset about that. But let's get into the Book of Boba Fett reactions. As you can see right here, only a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's pretty bad. And a lot of you out there will be saying, oh, that's not that bad. 72% is really not that bad at all. But it really is kind of bad, especially when you compare it to The Mandalorian, which got a 93% critic score and a 91% average between the two seasons. Season 1, I believe, was 90%, and season 2, I believe, was 92%. The Book of Boba Fett is just not even close to it. It's going down and down. Started off at 76%, I believe, when the episode first came out, and now it's down to 72%. I'm sure it will drop below 70% at some point, because a lot of people out there are really disliking this episode. And the scariest part for me is that Robert Rodriguez came out and said that this show is all killer, no filler. And there's only 7 episodes in this show, so not only are they 30-minute episodes, just like The Mandalorian, at least The Mandalorian was 8 episodes. This is only a 7-episode season with 30-minute episodes, and the first episode is already gone, so we only have 6 more, and absolutely nothing happened in the first episode. And Robert Rodriguez already came out and said that this show is all killer, no filler. If that is what Robert Rodriguez considers all killer, no filler, then we are in big trouble for the rest of the Book of Boba Fett, because if that is killer, if that first episode is considered killer for Robert Rodriguez and Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, we're in trouble, because that was bad. That was just bad Star Wars, man. And obviously this is just my opinion. Obviously it's not objectively bad, because there are a lot of people out there who are enjoying the episode. I don't understand how, and that's why I'm starting to think maybe this new Star Wars just isn't for me. Maybe Disney Star Wars is just not for me, because like I said, Baby Yoda had to come in, Grogu had to come in to save The Mandalorian for me. The Mandalorian season 2 was not it for me at all. I liked the Boba Fett episode. Other than that, the first episode was good. When we got to episode 7, when we were finished with episode 7, I was like, this season is seeming like a disappointment to me. It's not that good. The only good episodes that we've had is when Cobb Vanth came in and we saw Boba Fett at the end of the first episode, and then the Boba Fett episode, I believe it was episode 6 or 5, I can't remember. The Ahsoka episode was also very good. That's probably my favorite episode of the entirety of The Mandalorian. But anyway, I wasn't that big of a fan of season 2 until Luke Skywalker showed up, until we got that big finale that really wrapped it all up. This show, if that was killer, I don't see anything like Luke Skywalker showing up in the Book of Boba Fett. I don't see anything like that happening, because that's what they call killer. That's what Robert Rodriguez calls killer, who's an executive producer of this show. So if that's killer, we're in big trouble, like I said. And if people like Luke Skywalker or Grogu have to show up in this show, because I do believe that Din Djarin is going to show up at some point, but Emilia Clarke as Kira showing up, all of that stuff, if that's what has to happen for them to make a good show, if Star Wars has to become Marvel now, where they can't make stuff good, where they can't make stuff enjoyable without people showing up, without cameos being made, saying, hey, look at this character over here. Hey, look at that character over there. If that has to happen for you to make a good show or make a good movie or whatever it is, that's not good. That's really, really bad. That's not a sign of talent. That's not a sign of good things to come in the future of Star Wars. This stuff is making me really worried. And then I'm thinking about, you know what? We just have to hold out until Kenobi. We just have to hold out until Ahsoka. And I'm thinking about what we're going to get before we get those shows, before we get Kenobi, because that's really what I'm waiting on. If I don't like Kenobi, then I'm just going to step away from Star Wars and just accept the fact that I'm just not that big of a Star Wars fan anymore. Everything that they make from now going forward is just not going to be for me. It is what it is. You know, I'll probably still watch it all. When it comes to the Book of Boba Fett, though, if episode 2 isn't an absolute banger, I'm probably just going to not watch it anymore until the entire thing is out and then just binge it at the end, because I'm tired of looking forward to this show every single week. I'm tired of looking forward to the Mandalorian season 1 and 2 every single week and then just getting filler. It's so predictable at this point, and it's so frustrating whenever you speculate for an entire week what's going to happen, you know, what they set up in the episode previously, and then you go to the next episode and nothing forwards the plot. Nothing moves the plot forward at all. And for the Book of Boba Fett, there's nothing to even speculate about going into episode 2 at all. So it's just a big disappointment all around, man. But like I said, I'm looking at what's going to be, what we have to sit through in order to get to actually good stuff with Force users in it like Kenobi, because that's the big problem with all of this, is there's no Force users in it. For me, anyway. I watch Star Wars for the Force users. My favorite character is Anakin. Second favorite character is Luke. I think a lot of people out there agree that their first and second is Anakin and Luke in whatever order you want it to be. A lot of people out there, though, do want non-Force user content. I'm not one of those people. I don't really enjoy that type of stuff as much as I like the Force user content. But if you look at what we have to sit through between now and Kenobi and between now and Ahsoka, we have to sit through this entire season of Book of Boba, which isn't looking too good. Obviously, I'll give it a shot. I'll give episode 2 a shot. If it's not good, I'm going to step away from the show because I'm tired of just watching shows that make me angry. But we have to sit through the rest of Book of Boba Fett, and then we have to sit through 20-something episodes of Bad Batch Season 2. I'm not watching the Bad Batch Season 2. That show was bad, man. That show was awful in my opinion. It wasn't anything like the Clone Wars. It wasn't anything like Rebels. I would even put Rebels. I don't even like Rebels that much because there's great moments in Rebels, but they're very few and far between in my opinion. I don't even think that Rebels is as bad as the Bad Batch, which I thought was going to be kind of, obviously not on par with Season 7 of Clone Wars, because that was pretty crazy. You know, that was really, really good in my opinion, but I thought it was going to be pretty close to it, you know, especially with the animation style, especially with the success of Season 7 of Clone Wars. I thought they would kind of try to build off that success, and it just wasn't good, man. It was really bad. So it's not looking good for the future of Star Wars. It's not looking good for my personal Star Wars fandom. I might be stepping away sometime soon, especially if Kenobi is a flop in my eyes. If Kenobi isn't good, if Kenobi doesn't come back and save everything, for me, I'm just going to step away, man. I'm going to be out of here. But let me know what you guys think about everything. What do you think about the Book of Boba Fett getting such bad reviews and such bad reception on social media? And let me know what you think about the episode in general. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you did enjoy this video, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. And I hope to see you on the next one.